we doing, everybody? It's your boy Joe. Welcome to another awesome stream. It's the 29th of April 2022. We're gonna dive right into everything, boys and girls. Alright, just take one of these off real quick. And I'm gonna just check on my stream real quick just to make sure everything sounds good. I'm pretty sure it does. Just double check on that real quick. Close that. Hold on. Just take these ones off my head real quick. What are these ones? I got so many headphones. I know. So many headphones. Sounds good. All right. Sounds good. Take these up. Put these under here for now. All right, everybody. How are we doing today? I'm already coughing. Well, hello. All right. Welcome to another live stream. Tonight, we are diving right back into TryHackMe. Where we pretty much left off with getting into DNS, HTTP, and how do websites work. The next couple of sections that we're going to be going through with its beginning tutorial. Now remember, the reason why it's going through these fundamentals. The fundamental portion of TryHackMe is I went to the very, very beginning just to go over the fundamental. I want to start at the beginning. Obviously, I want to get as much. I am losing my point with this. I need more coffee already. Hold on. Now there we go. All right. Like I was saying. Yeah, so the reason, I guess I don't need to explain my reasoning. I just wanted to start off at the very beginning, just because I felt like it would be a good place to start off and gain as much knowledge as possible. So yeah, there you go. I also want to, maybe we'll do some reading in the CEH book. The Certified Ethical Hacker book today. I was going to possibly go through some of the Pearson. Did I just break my headphones today? No, okay. I just want to make sure I didn't break. I didn't pull out the string in them. The cord. So I did go through some of the Pearson test questions for that. I don't know if it relates to the actual book that I'm reading, at least starting to read right now. It might have to do with another book. Either way, it might be a good tool for us to use. It might not be. All depends. It all depends. All right, hold on, everybody. I'll share this real quick. La da da dee, la da da da, la da dee, la da da da. How's everybody doing? That's good. Just getting things started up, everybody. Now that's it. Where is it? Where is this? No. Alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's okay. Alright. Okay. Good beats. So this is some good beats tonight, huh? All right, guys, let's get into it. All right. So we got, let's just drive right into it. So we got a little DNS in detail. What is DNS? DNS, Domain Name Server System, provides a simple way for us to communicate with devices on the internet without remembering complex numbers. Much like every house has a unique address for sending mail directly to it, every computer on the internet has its own unique address to communicate with it, called an IP address. An IP address looks like the following: 104.26.10.229. 4 sets of digits ranging from 0 to 255, separated by a period. And that is the IP address, IPv4 address, split up into 4 octets. Ooh, let me make sure I pull up my chat here, just to make sure. Chats, how are we doing today? All right. When visiting a website, it's not exactly convenient to remember this complicated set of numbers, and this is where DNS can help. So instead of remembering 104.26.10.229, you can remember TryHackMe.com instead. So as simple, it's as simple as just remembering a name, not so much a set of digits. You know, if we had to remember all of our, all of our favorite websites by their IP address, that might be difficult. That might be something we would have to write down or something like that. But thankfully enough, we have DNS, and DNS is there to resolve those queries. So when you put in the name in your browser, that message that gets put inside of a packet, and I do have, depending on how much this goes into DNS. Now it's probably going to go into a lot of DNS. I'm expecting it will be, but I also got Cisco Packet Tracer. Rep Cisco Packet Tracer does a real nice graphical way, so we can see packets going through the network. I've already got the lab set up and everything, so I don't need to get into any boring setup and anything like that. So I've already gone ahead right before the stream and just quickly got the lab up. So you guys don't have to sit there and watch a boring Joe get a lab set up. But the lab is there though, so we can go and we can take a look at how messages flow within that network, DNS, and how DNS is going to get these messages and how it goes back and forth. But let's continue on with TryHackMe, so we can get into more of the finer details that I can't bestly describe in my own language sometimes. I need coffee. Here I'm drinking that fire coffee. Wow, fire coffee. It's like gasoline. It tastes like gasoline too. Ugh. All right. So, here's just some addresses. Google, for instances, would be like 8.8.8.8. That's a common. Let me just get my Epic pen up here. That's a common Google server there. I don't know the rest of them off the top of my head. What does DNS stand for? So Domain Name System. had a fun. I know I didn't stream it, but I did a pretty good, a really good hack box on Hack the Box. Called the lab was Pennyworth. It's one of their starter labs, and that had to do with finding vulnerabilities within Jenkins and stuff like that, and doing a reverse shell to log into a server. It was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed that one. That I did it last night right before I went to bed, just to see if I could do it. See how fast I can do it, I guess. I just wanted just playing around. I like Hack the Box. It's pretty fun too. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get into some pretty fun ones too here. Once we get out of the fundamental stage. Okay. So we learned a little bit of what DNS is. So here's this is getting into the domain hierarchy. So the domain hierarchy would be as it's obviously gonna explain to it, but it's the portions of that that name. So you have, it's gonna say like, TryHackMe.com, and then there are subdomains and stuff like that it's probably gonna explain. Yeah, so subdomains and stuff like that. So top level domain, a TDL top level domain is the most right hand part of the domain. So the most right hand part of the domain. For example, TryHackMe.com. TDL is the .com. So you'll see .org, .net. There's a whole bunch of them now. It's like the Wild West with top level domains now. .app is another one. I have a .com and a .app top level domain on my. I have it for both on JoePress. So I have a JoePress.app and a JoePress.app. So I have two top level domains that I have my second level domain name. I guess that's how it's going to explain that, or a subdomain. So there are two types of TDLs. GTDLs, generic top level, and CCTDLs, country code top level. Okay. Historically, GTDL, what's meant to tell others the user's domain name. Purpose, for example, AA.com would be for commercial purposes, .org for organization, .edu for education, .gov for government. A CCTDL would be used for geographical purposes, for example, .ca for based in Canada, .co.uk for sites based in the United Kingdom, and so on. Due to such demand, there is an influx of new GTDLs, GLDs, ranging from online, .gov, .website, .biz, so on and so forth. Here's the full list of all the. It gives us a nice little link here, and here's a list of all the top level domains that are pretty much out there in the wild, and there is a lot of them. That is an extensive list. I didn't realize there was that many of them. I would be quite afraid to go searching around on some of those, but that's just me. You guys have a bigger stomach than me, tell you that much, trust me. Is that fire coffee? Fire! All right, sub-level domains. Second level domains, excuse me. So, TryHackMe.com, as an example, the .com part of the TDL in the TryHackMe is part of the second level domain. When registering a domain name, the second level domain is limited to 63 characters plus the TDL, and you can only use A through Z and 0 through 9 in hyphens. Cannot start or end with hyphens, or have consecutive hyphens. Okay, so there's some some useful information of a second level domain. Subdomain. A subdomain sits on the left-hand side of the second level domain, using a period to separate it. For example, the name admin. So admin.tryhackme.com. The admin part is the subdomain. A subdomain of the name has the creation restriction as the subdomain. Second level domain, being limited to 63 characters, can only be A through Z, 0 through 9, and hyphens. Cannot start or end with hyphens. So it's the same. It has to follow the same rules as the. Man, why is my nose itchy? I swear that I'm like getting allergic to allergies all of a sudden. I never had allergies in my life till now. I digress. So it has to follow that same standard that the second level domain has. All right. You can use multiple subdomains split with periods to create longer names, such as juniper.server.tryhackme.com, but the length must be kept to 253 characters or less. So there is a limitation to how long how many characters can be in your domain name. Okay. All combined, I guess. There is no limit to the number of subdomains you can create for your domain. So there's no limit, okay, to that. And a lot, so it's like a popular subdomain you might see, like when you might not enter a subdomain, you might get redirected to subdomains. That's a common thing, is being redirected to subdomains. Like you'll have a somebody with a domain, and they'll have like a blog, and the domain name itself would be, it'd be blog for the subdomain dot whatever example, okay, as their second level domain. So that'd be the name that you yourself would register, on a registry, whatever have you, like Namecheap, GoDaddy, or whatever have you, and then your top level domain. So that this would be an example of obviously you have your subdomain, your second level domain, and your TDL. Yeah, that's pretty much that for that. Any questions? I don't see any questions. Very good. Move on. Very good. It gives TryHackMe really does gives some real good in very short bites, good information. I like that about TryHackMe. Is my good critique for the day. All right, what's the maximum length of a subdomain? 63 characters. Which of the following characters cannot be used? Probably underscore, right? What is the maximum length of a domain name? It's 63. Oh, it's 250. 253. What TDL is .co.uk? So what was that? That was a CC TDL. No, that was a geological. So that's it. G TDL. On TDL. I don't know why. Oh, CC. Happy. Everybody's happy. All right. DNS records. Here's some good information right here. So this gets into what the different record types. Okay, DNS isn't just for websites though. Multiple types of DNS records do exist. We're gonna go through some of the most common ones that you are likely to come across. So you have your A record. These records resolve IPv4 addresses, for example, 104.26.10.229, quadruple A records. Okay, these records resolve IPv6 addresses, for example. I'm not going to read all of that spaghetti. All right. So in A record, IPv4, a quadruple A record. Okay, so the AAA record, not AAA, not Alcoholics Anonymous. All right, getting all twitchy over here. All right, but quadruple A records. All right, that's to resolve IPv6. Okay, we have C records, C name records. These records resolve to another domain name. For example, TryHackMe online shop has a subdomain store.tryhackme.com, which returns a CNAME record of shopify.com. Another DNS request then would be made to Shopify, shops.shopify.com to work out the IP address. So that is okay, let me draw this out. Sometimes if I draw things out, I can explain them better. All right, we're gonna say we got a house here. Okay, everybody loves my good house. All right, don't make fun of me. All right. Inside that house, this is where our domain is. So let me do away with that and just use this. So this would be the TryHackMe. Okay. There we go. There we go. TryHackMe. So that would be our main domain right there. Okay. But what they're explaining is that record would then, if say you were aiming to go to that shop. Okay. So you wanted to go to shop.tryhackme. Okay. What it's doing, what that CNAME is doing, is then redirecting that, okay, to Shopify. .com. So that's in a sense, and then there would be the redirection back to the host there. But the hosts themselves would be thinking they'd be going to the shop.tryhackme, when in a sense, then it would be redirected to the shop.shopify. But in between that, there would be another DNS record for the shop.shopify. So that's in a sense what kind of CNAME is, and what CNAME kind of does. All right, MX record. These records resolve the address of the server that handles the email for the domain you are querying. For example, MX records response for tryhackme.com would look like something like alt1.aspmx.l.google.com. The records also come with a priority flag. This tells the client in which order to try the service. This is perfect for if the main server goes down and emails need to be sent to a backup server. How do I explain MX? Okay, so that has to do. I don't know if I should touch MX. I don't really MX is one of those terms that confuses me a little bit. But it kind of, in a sense, obviously, since it has to do with this resolves MX emails for your domain. So this, if you had your own email server, but you were using like you could probably do some stuff where you could probably have like a Google, it probably back up to like a Google server or something like that at the same time. And then TXT records are free text fields where any text-based data are stored. TXT records have multiple uses, but some common ones can be to list servers that have the authority to send emails on behalf of the domain. This can be help in battles against spam and spoof email. This also can be used to verify ownership of the domain name when signing up for a third-party service. So that's like almost like a proxy, in a sense. Is like a proxy server. Acts as a proxy record, I guess. That's how I guess I would explain it. What type of records is used for? So that's MX. Quadruple A. Okay. Making a request. There we go. All right. What happens when you make a DNS request? Let me just make sure this doesn't lock up on me. So we got, like I said, I got packet tracer out. I just don't want it to close down right now. That's it. But we'll get into that. We'll take a look at packet tracer in a minute. Not right now. Need more copy. All right. What happens when you make a DNS request? When you make a request to a domain name, your computer first checks its local cache to see if you've previously looked up the address recently. If not, a request to your reclusive DNS server will be made. A reclusive DNS server is usually provided by your ISP, but you can also choose your own. This server also has a local cache of recently looked up domain names. If a result is found locally, this is sent back to your computer, and your request ends up here. This is a common for popular and heavily requested services such as Google, Facebook, and Twitter. If your request cannot be found locally, a journey begins to find the correct answer, starting with the internet's root DNS server. The root server acts as the DNS backbone of the internet. The job is to redirect you to the correct top-level domain server, depending on your request. If you, for example, request www.tryhackme.com, the root server will recognize the top-level domain of the .com and refer you to the correct TDL server that deals with the .com address. The TDL server holds the records for where you find the authoritative server to answer the DNS request. The authoritative server is often known as the name server for the domain. For example, the name server at TryHackMe.com is kip.ins.cloudflare.com and uma.ns.cloudflare.com. You often find multiple name servers for domain names that try to act as backups in case one goes down. An authoritative DNS server is a server that is responsible for storing DNS records for a particular domain name and where any updates to your domain name DNS records would be made. Depending on the record type, the DNS record is sent back to the reclusive server, where a local copy is cached for future requests, then relayed back to the original client that made the request. DNS records all come with TDL, time to live value. That value is a number represented in seconds that the response should be saved for locally until it can be looked up again. Cache saves on heavy to make the DNS request every time it communicates with the server. That was a great little explanation of how requests and responses are made between a DNS server, host, and clients, host and other servers and stuff like that. What fields specifies how long the DNS records should be cached? TDL. Live. What DNS server is usually provided by you that's reclusive? Words, so I can make sure I spell it right. There it is. What type of server holds all the records on the internet? So that is the root server. Oh, name server. What's it called? Root server, name server. We'll call it root server. Let's call it a name server. See how long it is. Oh, there it is. Unattentive. There you go. All right. Using the website. So let's open this bad battery up. All right. What is the C name for shop website dot? Supplement shop. What is it? What is the name for? What is this crazy thing asking me to do? Hold on. Gotta open up a window real quick. It's getting hot in here. It's cooking. I'm a cooking, man. Oh, that's better. That's better. And open my window. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. I'm trying to understand what this question's asking me. What is the subdomain? There, let's just send the request. There we go. Oh. What is going on here right now? I just didn't understand what it wanted. That's what I get. There you go. Now you're happy. Alright. What is the value of the TXT record? It's like that, how it gives you the nice little, how to do it, too. The other time. Oh, I see. So they get for not reading it all correctly. I was just asking me for the TXT record of website. I just wasn't reading the question correctly. Of website.tm. So it wasn't. I didn't have to put anything in it. And then MX value. What is the IP address? Is show a record 10.10.10.10. Woohoo! So just to get into what I guess, just to get into what I wanted to bring up with what I just created real quick with Packet Tracer real quick. So in here we have a DNS server, we have a web server. Just give you something quick. 168.1.2 168.1.1 to 168.1.3 192.168. So this is our IP addresses of our little network we got here. Now, if we take a look at our DNS server, I've already filled in the record. So we have an A record for the DNS server at 192.168.1.2, an A record for the router at 192.168.1.1, and a record for the web server as well at 192.168.1.3. And then to prove that in a couple ways, we can ping. Let's ping the web server real quick, 192.168.1.3, and we can see we have communication with the web server. Okay, now let's ping a web server, and we can see we're getting replies back from the same IP address. So when we pinged 192.168.1.3, we got replies back from 192.168.1.3. Now, when we pinged, where's my command? We pinged the web server. We got replies back from 192.168.1.3 as well. Okay, now we come over here to our web browser and we put HTTP web server. We'll be prompted with a web server here. Okay. Same thing if we come over here and put in 192.168.1.3 as well. would be prompted with the same web server. It's not going to show up anything. Now let me. I don't know. I don't think the web server's on in here. How to turn the web server. What is it? Oh, what is the command for the web server? I don't want to get into all that. I just wanted to show you the difference. Well, I guess there's two web servers actually, because the other one is DNS. So we have DNS here, and then we have web server. They're the same things. I'm looking at the same page because it is the same page. I could change that though real quick. So if I come over here to DNS and I come over here to the yes. Is that the one you prompt with? Index, there we go. Alright, so we're going to say web server. Alright, so you have DNS server, welcome, and so that way you guys can see I'm not lying to you. And then you have web server, welcome. Okay. So there you go. So there's just some DNS real quick. Now we could just take a look at the simulations on that, and I don't want all of that. How do I edit the stinking flags again? How do you edit the flags again? I forget. I wanted to capture every single flag. Whatever. So we're gonna make our request real quick. And so, expand this. So you can see what we're gonna be doing. So we have our first packet right here. All right. Now you can see that this DNS packet here, okay, it has some layer 2 information in here. And there we go. So we got what this is showing is some just detailed information of when we were talking about the packets yesterday. This is showing, and this is why I wanted to show Cisco Packet Tracer, because it does a better job. Well, it does a great job at how to look at packets and stuff like that, and has a great explanation on some of the stuff too. So you can go down the previous layer. So this is the inner, let me see, user port, IP address, source, yeah, dest, okay. Does it have, yeah, port 53, so it has, so layer 1 off of the, so it's coming from the switch, so off of the fast Ethernet receive. The next layer, this frame destines MAC address match the port MAC address of the broadcast address or multicast address. So it has the layer 2 information, the MAC address. Get into the next one, we have the source and destination. All right, and then up here at the layer 4, all right, so layer 4 was the transport layer. All right, we have UDP, okay, source port 1035, so that's the randomly selected port from the host, and then the destination port, because this is a DNS request, it's going to be the port 53, which is DNS's common port. Okay. Now then you can see this reply come back from the server. So you have the source port, again, that's coming from 53 now, because now it's coming from the DNS server to the destination port. So the same port that it was originally came out of, okay? And then the source and the destination, same as the source and destination, the destination and source from the other one. All right. And now, okay, so now we have our first request to the web server now. So we have at port 80. All right, and it's talking about this device tries to make a TCP connection to 192.168.3 on port 80. This device sets connection state to the SYN sent. Okay, so this again, what we're talking about, the SYN awk with the three-way handshake. Coffee's cool again. All right, TCP accepts window sizes up to 65,535 bytes. We'll talk about that. Yep. TCP adds the maximum segment size. TCP adds maximum segment size option to TCP SYN header with maximum segment size equals to 1460 bytes. The device sends a SYN awk segment. Set segment information to the sequence number 0, the awk number 0, and data length 224. It gets into the layer 3 information. Take the next flight in this journey here, and then we're getting down to the actual web server here. Okay, so we have the SYN awk, okay, and it's going to send now. The server now is going to send. This just hurt my ear. What layer? This layer right here. So the server sends back the SYN awk. Remember that. This is the second step of the three-way handshake here. All right, and again, from the source port and the destination port. Again, it's flip-flop on the other side. All right, and now we start seeing our first layer 7 application come up on our packets here. So now we have a HTTP request here. Okay, again for the source coming from the 1034 randomly selected host port. All right, send information to the sequence number to 1, the awk number to 1. So it's going up by 1. So it's the awk is going. It's okay up 1. So now there's the awk 2. This is TCP setting up with its segments and numbering and stuff like that. All right, and then we have our layer 3 information and whatnot, and that's gonna go to the server. So this was the TCP awk, and then this is the HTTP request. Yeah, with the push awk. Okay. This is just getting into some more technical terminologies with the awk. So we have the push awk segment from the connection port receiving. Yep. Then the web server sending the HTTP request back. All right, with the push awk, awk number 99, your sequence number 1. All right, and then the next part would be sequence number 99 plus awk 406. Data length is. It's just getting into more of let me reset that now. Back to real time. So that I just wanted to just bring that into tonight's stream here, just to add some more, I guess, just more in-depth look of DNS as we were just taking a look at DNS here tonight. So, very good. All right, let's go back to TryHackMe. All right, now let's get into HTTP in more detail. All right, what is HTTP? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, hypertext transfer protocol. HTTP is what's used whenever you view a website developed by Tim Berners-Lee and his team between 1989 and 1991. HTTP is a set of rules used for communicating with a web server, for transmitting a web page, whether that's HTML, images, video, etc. What is HTTPS? Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. Okay. HTTPS is the secure version of HTTP. HTTPS data is encrypted, so not only stops people from seeing the data that you are receiving and sending, but it also gives you assurance that you are talking to the correct web server and not something impersonating it. So that's referring to when you see the lock on like the handlebar, the lock on the handlebar. What am I on? The lock on the web browser. That's when you know you're on a certified SSL connection. SSL connection. Is that what I'm saying? Right? But it's a secure connection, so you're off of port 443 instead of port 80. All right, and that's when you know you got a HTTPS secure connection. All right, what does HTTP stands for? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. What is the S? Secure. Unmarked web pages on the right there. So let's just view the site real quick. On the marked web page on the right, there's an issue. Once you've found it, click on it in the challenge flag. So it's right here. And here's our challenge flag. Very good. Very good. I'm gonna go grab some coffee real quick. I'm gonna go grab a coffee real quick, guys. Just give me a momento. Alright, I'm back. Coffee. Good coffee. Alright, let's get back into it. There you go. All right. Okay. All right. Request and responses. When we access a website, your browser will need to make a request to the web server for assets such as HTML images and download the responses. Before that, you need to tell the browser specifically how and where to access these resources. This is where URLs will help. What is a URL? A uniform resource locator. Okay, let me see that again. Uniform resource locator. All right. If you've used the internet, you've used URLs before. A URL is a predominatal. I can't even pronounce that word for some reason. Instruction on how to access resources on the internet. There you go. Man, my pronunciation is all kinds of messed up. The below images shows what a URL looks like when all of its features. It does not use all of its features in every request. Okay, so let's just go over this. Just sip some more coffee. So we have the schema. Okay, that would be the HTTP, the HTTPS. Okay, the schema. And again, not every URL is going to have all of this, and that's why I said that before. So in this instance, if you were say you had a direct URL to log right into a particular server or web server, something like that, you could possibly use a URL like this to log directly right into a server. But this isn't a URL that not every day everybody would enter in. So in this instance, they would have user password @ now this is the host domain. Okay, we're looking for the port, and that when you add the double colons, that dignifies that there's a following specific port number. Okay, view path. Okay, so you would have View path. View path would be the directory within that server, within that public visible server. So that would be the path. Okay, so that would be like /www. Usually /www is all like where all the public stuff is on a server. Then you have your query string. Query string, you'll see it'll start off with a question mark, and then some kind of query identifier value. So would that be ID, name, address, phone number, whatever have you, equal to, and then whatever it would be. And then it's just showing you what a fragment off is. Not too curious what a fragment is. I'll have to learn what a fragment is. All right, so here we'll just read off of their little definitions. These freaking headphones are killing my ears. You ever have an uncomfortable set of headphones that they squeeze your head too tight and they just make your ears? My ears are real sensitive. I'm real sensitive ears. I'm a little baby boy. All right, schema. This instructs how on what protocol to use for accessing the resources such as HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, file transfer protocol. Users. Some services require authentications to log in. You put a username password into the URL to log in. Host. The domain name or IP address of the server you wish to access. Port, the port that you are going to connect to, usually 80 for HTTP and 443 for HTTPS. But this can be hosted on any port from 1 to 65,535. Path, the file name or location of the resource you are trying to access. Query string, extra bits of information that can be sent to the requested path. For example, /blog question mark ID equals 1 would tell the blog path that you wish to receive the blog article with the ID of 1. All right, fragment. This is a reference to a location on the actual page request. This is commonly used for pages with long content and can have a certain part of the page directly linked to it, so it's viewable to the user as soon as they request it. Okay, so fragment, that makes sense. I like what that did. So I guess I never really used a fragment to request a page. It's possible to make a request to a web server with just one line. Yep, pretty much get /HTTP /1.1. Request method, the HTTP request version protocol, the page being requested, / everything. But for a much richer web experience, you need to send other data as well. This other data is sent in what is called headers, where headers contain extra information to give the web server you are communicating with. To give information to the web server you're communicating with. But we'll go more into this header task. All right, so we have the get request, the schema here, and what did it say that was? Oh, it didn't say what 1.1 meant. Probably just a version. Host TryHackMe.com. User agent just gets into whatever, and then refer. HTTPS. Let's get into the breakdown here. I'm not too familiar with what this is breaking down right here. All right. Line 1. The request is sending a get method, more of HTTP method task. Request to the home page with the / telling the web server we are using HTTP protocol version 1.1. So yes, version. Okay. line 2, we tell the web server we want the website HTTP TryHackMe.com. Line 3, the user agent, we tell the web server we are using Firefox version 87 browser. So there you go. So that would be the user agent would be the browser, the user browser, or the agent upon which the request was being sent from. All right, refer. The HTTP request always ends with a blank line to inform the web server that the request has finished. Oh wait, line 4. We are telling the web server that the web page that refers us to the HTTP. We are telling the web server that the web page that refers us to this one is okay, and then the last line, HTTP request always ends with a blank line to inform the web server that the request is finished. So blank line right here, done. Okay. So here's an example response here. All right, so we have the line 1 here. HTTP 1.1 is the version of HTTP protocol. The server is using followed by the HTTP status code 200. 200 is the good code, which tells us the request has completed successfully. This tells line 2. Okay, this tells us the web server software and version number. So we have Nginx 1.15.8. The next line is the current date and time zone of the web server. Line 4, the content type header that tells the client what sort of information is going to be sent, such as HTML, image, video, and XML. So content type, text/HTML. Line 5, content length tells the client how long this response is. This is a way to confirm no data is missing. So content length, 98, very good. Line 6, HTTP response contains a blank line to confirm the ends of the response. So we have that blank line here. Line 7 through 14, the information that has been requested. In this instance, the home page. Very good. So I kind of, that was pretty informative on a request, on a HTTP request and a HTTP response. I guess I haven't spent too much time looking at those in more detail. So that was really good. Some good snippets of information. What HTTP protocol is being used in the above example? All right. What response header tells the browser how much data to expect? Content length. All right, HTTP methods are a way for a client to show their intended actions when making a HTTP request. There's a lot of HTTP methods, but we'll cover the most common ones. Although most of them deal with get and post methods. Okay, so get and post methods. So this is talking about the methods, the HTTP methods and stuff like that. Get request. This is used for getting information from a web server. Post request. This is used for submitting data to a web server and potentially creating a new record. Put request. This is used for submitting data to a web server to update information. Okay, so we have put and post. Post is potentially creating a new record. Put is updating information already on the server itself. Delete. This is used for deleting information records on the web server. What method is being used to create a new user? We would have post. What method would be used to update? Put. What method would be used to remove, delete? What method would be used to write to view? And there'd be Okay. Here's some nice little static codes for us. Some HTTP status codes. Coffee. So much coffee. Coffee. All right, HTTP status codes. In the previous test, you learned that when HTTP servers respond, the first line always contains a status code inform the client outcome of their request and potentially how to handle it. These status codes can be broken down into 5 different ranges. All right, so we have 100 through 199 information responses. These are sent to tell the client the first part of their request has been accepted and they should continue sending the rest of their request. These codes are no longer very common. Okay, so no longer very common. We have 200 through 299. This range of status codes is used to tell the client that their request was successful. And then we have 300 to 399. Redirection. These are used to redirect the client's request to another resource. These can be either to a different web page or a different website altogether. We have 400 through 499. Client errors. Okay, we have client errors used to inform the client that there was an error with the request. Then we have 500 through 599. These are server errors. Okay, server errors. This is reserved for errors happening on the server side and usually indicated quite a major problem with the server handling their request. Common HTTP status codes. Oh, it's just giving us the common ones now. So there are a lot of different HTTP status codes, and that's not including the fact that the application can even define their own. We'll go over the most common HTTP responses you are likely to come across. So you have your 200, okay, this response was the request was completely successful. A 200 code. 201 created. A resource has been created, for example, a new user or blog post. 301 permanent redirect. The redirect of the client's browser to a new web page tells the search engines that the pages has been moved somewhere else to look there instead. 302 temporary redirect, similar to the above permanent redirect, but as the name suggests, this is only temporary changes and it may change again in the near future. Then we have the 400, the bad request. This tells the browser that something was either wrong or missing in their request. This could sometimes be used if a web server resources that is being requested accepts a certain parameter the client didn't send. Then we have 401, not authorized. You are not currently allowed to view this resource until you have authorization with the web application, most commonly with user or password. Then you have the 403, forbidden. You do not have permission to view this resources, whether you are logged in or not. 405, method not allowed. The resource does not allow this method request. For example, you send a GET request to the resources, create account when was expecting a post request instead. 404, page not found. The page resources you request does not exist. 500, internal service error. This server has encountered some kind of error with your request that doesn't know how to handle it properly. Then we have 403, service unavailable. The server cannot handle your request and it's either overloaded or down for maintenance. Click to view the site to answer the questions. Okay. All right. What response code might you receive if you've created a new? What response code might you receive if you created a new user or blog? So that would be the 201. What response code might you receive if you tried to access a page that doesn't exist? So that's the 544. What response code might you receive if a web server cannot access its database and its application crashes? So we have an internal error. Service unavailable. What response code might you receive if you try to edit your profile without logging into it first? And that would be a not authorized. It's just showing us a couple of those. Get it? Very good, very good. All right, let's move on to the next one. Here we have headers. Very good. Copy. All right, headers. Headers are additional bytes of data you could send to the web server when making requests. Although no headers are strictly required when making HTTP requests, you'll find it difficult to view a web page properly. Common request headers. These are headers that are sent from clients, usually your web browser, to the server. So hosts. Some web servers host multiple websites. So by providing the host header, you can tell it which one you require. Otherwise, you'll just receive the default website for the server. User agent. This is the browser software and version number telling the web server your browser software helps it format the website properly for your web browser. Also some HTML. So what's this? So your user agent, that's important because not all browsers are created equal. And not all of them run the same run times, all the same ways, and some of them don't even run the same run times, and stuff like that. So that's why user agent is an important header. That way, the application knows if its runtime will be even able to work. So content length. When sending data to a web server, such as in a form, the content length tells the web server how much data to expect in the web request. This way, the server can ensure it isn't missing any data. Accept encoding tells the web server which types of compression methods the browser supports, so that the data can be made smaller for transmitting over the internet. Cookies. Data sent to the server to help remember your information. See cookies tasks for more information. We're going to get into cookies and stuff like that. Common response headers. These are headers that are returned to the client from the server after the request. Set cookies. Information to store which gets sent back to the web server on each response. Cache control. How long to store the content on the response in the browser's cache before its request. Again, content type tells the client what type of data is being returned, i.e. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images, PDL, video. Using the content type header, the browser then knows how to process the data. Content encoding. Well, what method has been used to compress the data to make it smaller when sending it over the internet? All right, let's answer some questions. What header tells the web server what browser is being used? So that is the user agent. What header tells the browser what type of data is being returned? That is the content type. What header tells the web server which what header tells the web server which website is being requested? So that would be let's keep it going. Some good jams. Oh yeah. Surprised I haven't shut up there. All right. Cookies. Ooh, cookies. I love cookies. Yum 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 yum. All right. You've probably heard of cookies before. They're just a small piece of data that is stored on your computers. Cookies are saved when you receive a set cookie header from the web server. Then every further request you make, you'll send the cookie data back to the web server. Because HTTPS is stateless, doesn't keep track of previous requests, cookies can be used to remember the web server, to remind the web server who you are. Okay, some personal settings from the website, or whether that you've been on the website before. Look at the examples. So, say that you logged in. Say that you logged into a website, say like Facebook or something like that. There would be a cookie saved to your browser. So when you go to another link, that cookie gets sent back with that new request. So the web server will remember that it's still you logged in to the browser there by that cookie being sent back in that header response. Okay. And so here's the client request, and content type. The client sends the name back with Adam. All right, so there's the set cookie right there. So the server responds with the set cookie header, telling that the client name to save the data name Adam. On the next and every further request, the client sends the cookie data back to the server, and it sends the client the cookie name equals Adam back again so the server knows that you are still logged into it. The server then sees the cookie data, and instead of displaying the form, it displays a welcome back message. Okay, so obviously, and then it's just saying this is just a general statement right there. Cookies can be used for many purposes, but the most commonly used for website authentication. The cookie value won't usually be clear text strings where you can see the password, but a token, which is a unique set of code that isn't humanly guessable. All right, viewing a cookie. You can easily view what cookies your browser is sending to websites by using developer tools in your browser. If you are not sure how to get to developer tools in your browser, click the View Site button on the top of the task guide. Once you have developer tools open, click on the Network tab. This tab will show you a list of resources your browser has requested. You can then click on each and receive the details breakdowns of the request and response. If your browser sent a cookie, you'll see these on the cookie tabs of the request. Which header is used to save cookies? Which header is used to save cookies? Small pieces, cookies. All right, we're. Mm, oh, what are we hacking? What's up? We are on TryHackMe.com. So we're going through. The fundamentals of TryHackMe.com. I'm going through a couple different. I'm going through also HacktheBox to kind of like bouncing back between the platforms and stuff like that. Currently, right now, so a lot of this is what you're seeing right now is the beginning fundamentals of TryHackMe. It hasn't gone into any real exploiting anything just yet. But yeah, welcome to the stream. All right. So click to view the site. Let's click on that to view the site. And I'll bring that up. All right. Make a get request to room. All right. So change the HTML to contain. Change the URL. Update the thingy. And yeah, so a lot of what I've been trying to do is, just for being really new to both the platforms and being new altogether to, I guess, the cybersecurity side of technology. I started out last year getting into, last year. Getting into networking and stuff like that. I'm all brand new to IT all in general. But this I thought would be this would be it. Getting into IT, getting more familiar with security. I saw would be the best next step for where I was going after learning at least a lot of the basics, fundamentals of networking and stuff like that. So, all right. So what does it want? It wants us to make a request to /room. And make a request to this /room. Okay. So let's keep this. Giving us the flags. All right. Make a get request to /blog using the gear icon. Make a get request to the using the gear icon and set the parameter. Okay. I see. ID, that's why it was kicking me out of it. I was like, why won't it let me do the params? Because it wanted me to do it this way. Value to 1. No, I don't want a second one. And then our flag, you found the flag. I found the flag. I found it. I did it. I'm a real boy. I'm a real boy. Bum, bum, bum. The user is deleted. One thing I do want to, I guess I do want to bring up, is what I really like TryHackMe as a good cleaner platform again to hack the box. I was talking to my where they're teaching you params like that rather than showing you the actual incorporated into the URL. Yeah, I would. So that is a good bring up. And I guess for what I guess they're trying to make this as baby step-ish as possible for somebody who's, possibly super new to doing any of this at all. And and again, I picked how I started this off is I wanted to see the platform when it gave me the option to start at the very, very beginning, most fundamental. I wanted to start there because I wanted to see the platform in its entirety. Because I really want to see this for how I could possibly take, my kids and sit them down on this platform and maybe have them learn. And from what I'm seeing so far is this could, this is a very easy to use platform, and it teaches the steps that it's taken so far is very comfortable, very paced. It feels like I haven't felt like I have missed anything in between, from a fundamental side. That would be great for kids. How old are they? My dad got me started when I was coding when I was about 8. Yeah, so my youngest is 8 right now, and I have a couple. They go all the way up to about 15 right now, and I'm trying to get my 2 youngest, 12 and 8, to get into this because they're the 2 boys that are more into gaming and stuff like that, and they're always talking about making their own games and stuff like that. And I keep trying to tell them, like, listen, like, if you get into coding, like, you guys can make your own games, and I could, I got Raspberry Pis, and I'm always trying to interest them in doing it. But they're both doing they're in public school right now, but this will be the last year in public school. I'm actually going to be taking them out of public school at the end of this year. I'm going to be homeschooling them. So this is part of my adventure to try to find good platforms that I could probably stick them in front of and have them learn, while they're going to be being homeschooled next year. I would love my kids. I would love my kids to start learning, especially like you say you did at 8 years old. I would love for them to learn how to code at 8 years old. I wished I learned how to code. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Like I said, I wished I learned this stuff young. I end up destroying. The reason why I'm getting into this now is I end up destroying my back, and I had to deal with not being able to walk for some time, and that obviously forced me to change my career options. And I found though it to be very interesting and very cool at the same time. So yeah, I'm glad you popped into the stream. I like seeing people in the stream. Makes me happy to see people in the stream. Yeah, I started Roblox back when I was super small. When it was a super small website. Roblox has some super great tools for creating games from scratch that taught me a lot of 3D modeling concepts as well as coding opportunities. Yeah, Roblox at one time was. I didn't. Obviously, I had just missed. I had missed the generation that would have grown up in Roblox. I was born in '85, so I had just missed that. I was more of a Nintendo Saga kid. I didn't even. I didn't get into IT, so I wasn't part of the computer master race either. Even though my where was I going with that? But yeah, Roblox now. I like my kids when they were a couple years ago, like when I didn't know much about Roblox and I thought it looked like a kid's game to me, but now I've pulled my kids off of Roblox because I found out there's some weird people on Roblox. They do some weird stuff. They got a little too creative on their little Roblox minds. But no, Roblox again. I mean, there was people who made quite a bit of money on Roblox. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. What did I miss? Make a put request for user/2 with the user. Alright. When we got the params, username admin. Alright. There we go. Too much freedom, lol. Yeah. Too much freedom. Yeah, that's you give too much that goes for anything, man. You give somebody an inch, they're gonna want the whole entire yard. And you know what? That's not always bad. You know what I'm saying? And freedom's never bad. It's when you have a certain space and things are just not supposed to be like allowed. No, I'm not saying allowed. I'm just saying where things are not shouldn't properly be there. Like obviously Roblox should have always maintained it as like a kid's game, and there should have always been some kind of filter to maintain that kid's atmosphere. Now I do understand that, you have streamers and adults who like to create content and stuff like that, and that's fine. But when you get into the realm of, you get into the freaky wiki, and you get into where you have kids, unbeknownst to their parents, being exposed to things that they shouldn't be exposed to, that's just wrong, dude. That's just wrong for anybody to even think it's funny to make something like that for a kid to be exposed to, because honestly, if it wasn't for a child being exposed to anything, they wouldn't know what any bad thing was. That's just how things are to anything in this world. But I just say that because I love freedom. I love freedom of everything. But there is a time and a place for everything too as well. And that's what a lot of people miss in their moral headspace, is when to know this might not be the right time and place for this. Okay, let's make a post. Let's switch to post. The username to login. Okay. To login. Let's change the parameters. And let me in. Missing parameter. What did I miss? Oh, okay. There we go. The HTTPS master. Woo! We did it, boys. All right. Oh, they got the cute little kitty. The cute kitty. So, still up. I need more coffee. Hold on, Betsy. I need to get me some more coffee real quick up in here. Hold on. coming back. I'm back. Get your panties in a bunch. Hello again. Need more coffee. 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 Ah, I lost my music. It's okay. Like that URL? I guess I did not like that URL. I must go get a new one. This one? What are you doing? I broke it. I broke everything. Oh yeah. Drink some coffee real quick. Tastes like piss. I love it. All right, let's get into this here. Alright, how a website works. By the end of this room, you'll know how a website are created and will be introduced to some basic security issues. When you visit a website, your browser, like Safari, Google, Chrome, makes a request to a web server asking for information about the page you are visiting. It will respond with data that the web server uses to show you the page. A web server is just a dedicated computer somewhere else in the big world of the internet. So it's just a nice infographic of representation of a browser server response request type thing. There are two major components that make up a website: a front end, client end. There are the way that you browse and the websites are rendered. The back end, the server side. The server side that processes your requests and responses. All right, there are. Hold on, there's a big motorcycle outside. Bam. He was blowing up my spot over here. I got my window open, keep my room cool. All right. There are many other processes involved in your browser making requests to the web server, but for now, you just need to understand that you make a request to a server and it responds with data your browser uses to render information to you. Okay, so it's a mutual relationship where there's a request and there is a response. Okay. All right. What term best describes the server side? The best describes the side your browser renders the website. So that's client. All right. HTML. Websites are primarily creating HTML to build websites and define their structure, CSS to make their websites look pretty and to add styling options. JavaScript implements complex features on pages used interactively. So those are like the three. That's like the three basic building blocks of just a basic website. You have your HTML, your CSS, and your JavaScript. With those three right there, you can pretty much do anything that you want to create any kind of web page and stuff like that, whether it be super creative or super basic, whatever have you. You can do complex stuff with just JavaScript too. HTML, hypertext markup language, is the language websites are written in. Elements are also known as tags, are the building blocks of HTML and tells the browser how to display content. The code snippet below shows a snippet of HTML document, the structure of which is the same for every website. So you just have your this is just a quick HTML doc. Yeah, real quick and easy. You have your initial HTML tags, and then inside of all of your HTML tags, you have your head tags. Just some structural body stuff for HTML. So you have your head. Your head is usually the stuff that's not displayed. You have like metadata and stuff like that, and the favicon and stuff like that. Your body is everything that is displayed. That's where you have your paragraphs, your headers, and everything else. HTML structure, as shown in the screenshot, has the following components. So the doc type HTML defines the page is HTML5 document. This helps with standardization across different internet browsers and tells the browser to use HTML to interpret this page. So your doc HTML, that's just telling again, just the browser. It's just a declaration. This is a declaration of what this page is using. HTML5 is pretty much the standard these days in modern times. All right, the HTML element is the root element of the HTML page. All elements come after this element. The head element is the element that contains the information about the web page, about the page itself. So the metadata. The body element defines the HTML body, document's body. Only contents inside of the body is shown in the browser. The H1 element defines large headings. The P defines paragraphs. There are other element tags used in different purposes. For example, tags, button images, so on and so forth. I did bring up the other day the W3 schools. If you're interested in anything web development, the W3 schools platform is one of the greatest references when it comes to anything web development wise and stuff like that. It's just very good fundamentals, some good reference and fundamental stuff on it. Okay. Tags can contain attributes such as class attributes, which can be used as style elements. E.g. makes the tag a different color. So you can add attributes right in it, or you can use CSS and stuff like that. Or source attribute, which is used on images to specify the location of an image. So where it is on that. So where's that image sitting on that server? You know what I'm saying? So that would be the source. That would be that attribute, what that stands for. An element can have multiple attributes, each of its with its own unique purpose. Just gets into that. Elements can also have IDs, okay, which is unique to an element. Unlike class attributes, where multiple elements can use the same class, elements have different IDs to identify them uniquely. Element IDs are used for styling and to identify them by JavaScript. So you use your ID tags and stuff like that. That's a lot when you're doing stuff with JavaScript. You want to pull things off the page, put things inside the page. When you're doing coloring, styling. Excuse me. All right. you can view the HTML. You can view the HTML of any web page by clicking on the right. It's just going into the inspect, how to inspect any web page on the internet, and you can you want on any browser. You can I believe every browser now there's an inspect option pretty much on every browser, from Brave to DuckDuckGo, Chrome, obviously, Edge, and everything else. And you can just look at, the HTML document that your browser got sent. Now, some web pages are, their HTML documents themselves will be complicated and convoluted in some ways, and a lot of it's being, a lot of these stuffs these days is bootstrapped and Vue and all kinds of good happy stuff to just adds extra layers of complexity to a web page, I guess. But it makes good web pages. Update newer modern web pages. All right, one of the images of the cats is broken. Fix it, and the image will render. What did I do? Everything. Hero HTML. That's it. I'm the HTML hero. Woohoo! I'm a hero. Added dog image to the page by adding another image tag. There we go. It's that. Got my doggy. I got my doggy. I got my doggy. All right. Oh, JavaScript. All right. So, did I miss one on here? I didn't even see it. It was just to load the website. I almost missed it. I would have never completed it. All right, JavaScript. JavaScript is one of the most popular coding languages in the world and allows pages to become interactive. HTML is used to create the web page structure and content, while JavaScript is used to control the functionality of the web page. Without JavaScript, a page would not have interactive elements and would also be static. So it would just be a flat, just text web page. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that'd be it. I mean, you can add links and stuff like that to a flat HTML page, but it wouldn't be no interactivity to that page. Okay, people like to touch things. You want to touch buttons. Without JavaScript, a page JS can be done. Can dynamically update the page in real time, given functionality to change the style of a button with a particular event on the page occurs, such as when you click a button and display moving animations. Woo! JavaScript is added within the page source code and can be either loaded within the script tag and or could be remotely with the source. So that's just saying. So that's just saying where you would have JavaScript written within your HTML document itself without having your own extra remotely, like I said, JS document. There you go. The following JavaScript code finds a HTML element on the page with the ID demo and changes the element contents to hack the planet. So you have your document.get element by ID, and then it's using the ID. So the get element by ID. What do I want to call it? It's not a class. That would be the. There's a certain name for that part of what that would be called, part of the code. But either way, I don't want to get too caught up. I'm not trying to get into teaching JavaScript today. But the ID would be demo on that element, and then you're calling the inner HTML. So what you're saying is the inner part of that HTML. That's what I want to get at. And then you're going to change that to hack the planet. Okay. So that's some fun stuff. HTML elements can also have events such as on click, on hover, that execute JavaScript when an event occurs. The following code changes the elements with the demo ID when button click. So button on click, document get element by ID, demo inner HTML equals button clicked. Click me. So that would just say on the click, the button would say. So that's prompting something to happen. Oh, it's gonna change click me to button clicked. That's what that little code snippet is saying right there. All right. Click the view page and the task on the right hand side. Add JavaScript. Add the JavaScript changes to the demo. Once we add it. Congratulations! Here is my little flag. JavaScript is fun. I agree. I love JavaScript. I do. I do love me some JavaScript. Add the button. What are we gonna do? Add the button. Add the HTML button from the past that changes the clicked element. Oh, okay. What did it say? I guess I didn't read it right. Add the button HTML from the task that changes the elements task to change to click button. On the editor on the right, update the code by clicking the render. Oh. Uh-huh. Button click, baby. Oh yeah. All right, very good. All right. Sensitive data exposure. Sensitive data exposure. When a website doesn't properly protect or remove sensitive clear text information to the end user, usually found in a site's front end source code. Coffee. All right. We now know that websites are built using many HTML elements tags, all in which can be simply by viewing the page source code. Website developer may have forgotten to remove login credentials, hidden links to private parts of the websites, or other sensitive data shown in the HTML or JavaScript. Sensitive information can be potentially leveraged to further an attacker's access within different parts of the web application. For example, they could be HTML. There could be HTML comments with temporary login credentials, and or you're viewing the page's source code and you found this. You could then use these credentials to log in anywhere in the application, or worse, access the back-end components of the website. Whether you are accessing a web application for security issues, one of the first things you should do is review the page's source code to see if you can find any exposed login credentials hidden within the links. View the website. What is the password in these hidden credentials? Let's inspect. All right, so here's our little hidden credentials. I'll show you where I found those. So within inspecting the site here, we've found our little hidden credentials hidden within it. So our thing is test password. Good. All right, let's get to the last one here. All right, HTML injections. Ooh, this is what I was doing on Hack the Box the other day. Was doing HTML injections and stuff like that. That was fun. All right, HTML injection is a vulnerability that occurs when unfiltered user input is displayed on the page. If a website fails to sanitize user input, filters any malicious text that a user's input into a website, and the text input is used on the website, an attacker can inject HTML code into the vulnerability. Input sanitation is very important in keeping a website secure, as information a user's input into a website is often used in other front-end, back-end functionalities. A vulnerability you'll explore in other labs is database injections, where you can manipulate databases look up queries to log in as other users by controlling the input that directly is used in the query. But for now, let's focus on the HTML injection, which is on the client side. When a user has control of how their input is displayed, they can often submit HTML or JavaScript code, and the browser will use it on the page, allowing the user to control the page appearance and functionality. So the user types in the information of the page, the input, the JavaScript function shows here. And what was it? Function say hi. Name, value, document, welcome message, inner. So they just made a quick little JavaScript snippet to add the thingy to the page. It's pretty neat. The image above shows how a form outputs text to the page, whether the user's input into the what's your name field is passed to as JavaScript functions on the output of the page, which means that if the user adds in their own HTML or JavaScript in the field, it uses the say hi functions and added it to the page. This means that you could add your own HTML, such as HT1 tags, and you will get the output into pure HTML. So it's saying that there was the say hi function. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to get into all explaining all that right now. The general rule is never to trust user input. To prevent malicious input, the website developers should sanitize everything the user enters before using it in JavaScript's function. In this case, the developers could remove any HTML tags. View the website on this task and inject HTML so that a malicious link. View the website on this task and inject HTML so that the malicious link to Get in ahead of that. Yes. View the website. View the website on the target on this. What am I supposed to get back in return, buddy? Already did. Oh, I see. Hold, buddy. My mind is going. There it is. Woo! We did it, boys! What we do tonight? See how much this episode happened. Okay, we can do this one too. All right, take another swig of my coffee. Oh, that's awful. All right, putting it all together. From a previous model, you have learned that quite a lot of things go on behind the scenes when requesting a website in your browser. To summarize it, when you request a website, your computer needs to know the web server's IP address and it needs to talk to it. For this, it uses DNS. Your computer then talks to the web server using a special set of commands called HTTP protocol. The web server then returns HTML, JavaScript, CSS, images, etc., which your web browser then uses corrected format and display to you. There's also a few other components that help the web run more efficiently and provides extra features. I have read this. All right, load balances. That's a nice little area. All right, load balances. When a website's traffic starts getting quite large or is running an application that needs a high availability, one web server might no longer do this job. Load balancers provide two main features: ensuring high traffic websites can handle the load and providing a failover if a server becomes unresponsive. When a request of a website with a load balancer, the load balancer will receive your request first and then forward it to one or of multiple servers behind it. Load balancers use different algorithms to help it decide which server is best to deal with this request. A couple of examples of the algorithm are round robin, which sends it to each server in turns, or weighted, which it checks how many requests a server is currently dealing and sends the information to the least busy server. Load balancers also perform periodic checks which each service to ensure that they are running correctly. This is called a health check. If a server doesn't respond appropriately or doesn't respond, the load balancer will stop sending traffic until it responds appropriately again. So a load balancer, just a quick, easy load balancer, almost like what its name almost gives it away as. It balances the load. And you can use load balancers in a lot of different ways. Load balancers are actually really, really fun. You can do a lot of cool stuff with load balancers when it comes to redirecting. You can also put SSL certificates behind a load after a load balancer. Yeah, you can slap on a certificate on a redirection after a load balancer, if it has that type of option. And then again, just like what a name says, it. So you say if you had a really high traffic site, and you needed 2 servers of that same site, you could pretty much use one one IP address for both servers and then load balance it over those. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with load balancers and stuff like that. But yeah, all right. CDN, content delivery networks. Content delivery network, CDN. A CDN can be an excellent resource for cutting down traffic to a busy website. It allows you to host static files from your website, such as JavaScript, CSS images, and videos, and host them across thousands of servers all across the world. When a user requests one of your host files, the CDN works out where the nearest server is physically located and sends the request there instead of the potential other side of the world. Okay. Database. Often websites will need a way of storing information for their users. Web servers can communicate with databases to store and recall data for them. Databases can range from just a simple plain text file up to a complex cluster of multiple servers providing speed and resiliency. You can come across some common databases: MySQL, MS SQL, MongoDB, GraphQL, Postgres, and more. Web application firewall, WAF. A WAF sits between your web request and web server. Its primary purpose is to protect the web server from hacking or denial of service attack. It analyzes web requests from common attack techniques. Whether the request is from a real browser or from a bot, it also checks an extensive amount of web requests are being sent by utensils, sometimes called limit rate. My pronunciation is all messed up. Which will allow a certain amount of requests from an IP per second. If a request is deemed a potential attack, it will be dropped and never sent to the web browser. All right. What can be used to host a static file across the internet for speed? CDN. All right. What does a load balancer perform to make it sure the host stays aligned? Health checks. I could spell. What can be used to help against hacking a website? A WAF. A waffle. I want some waffles. That reminds me. I am hungry. And waffles do sound delicious. Waffles are always delicious. Always delicious. That's what I'm talking about. Alright. How a web server works. What is a web server? A web server is a software that listens for incoming connections and then then utilizes the I don't know, I must be getting old, or my eyes just are failing me, and then utilizes the HTTP protocol to deliver web content to its clients. The most common web server software you may come across is Apache, Nginx, IIS, and Node.js. A web server delivers files from what's called a root directory, which is defined in the software settings. For example, Nginx and Apache share the same default locations of the var/www/html. And that's where that's a very common place. Well, that is the default place for Nginx and Apache. And that's why I'm very familiar with that, because I use Nginx and Apache a lot of different things that I do. All right, in Linux operating system, in ISS uses the CNet www root for Windows operating system. For example, if you requested the file http://www.example.com/picture.jpg, it would send the file. From /var/www/html/picture.jpg from its local hard drive. Virtual host. A web server can host multiple websites from different domain names. To achieve this, they use virtual hosts. The web server software checks the host names being requested from the HTML headers and matches that against its virtual host. Virtual hosts are just text-based configuration files. It finds a match that corrects the correct website will be provided. If no match is found, the default website will be provided instead. So we talked about default host. Virtual host. No. Virtual hosts. A couple. I think it was like last stream. And as long as just make sure when you're doing that, just make sure you have your correct DNS records and stuff like that to support your new virtual host. All right, virtual host can have a root directory map to different locations on the hard drive. For example, 1.com being mapped to /var/www website 1 and 2.com being mapped type to var/www website 2. There is no limit to the number of different websites you can host on a web server. Static versus dynamic content. Static content, as the name suggests, is content that never changes. Common examples of this are pictures, JavaScript, CSS, but can also include HTML that never changes. Furthermore, these are files that are directly served from web server with no changes made to them. Dynamic content, on the other hand, is content that could change with different requests. Take for example, a blog. One of the home pages of the blog, it will show you the latest entry. If a new entry is created, the home page is then updated with the latest entry. On the second example, you might be a search page on a blog. Depending on what search words used, a different result will be displayed. These changes to what you end up seeing are done is what's called the back end, which with the use of programming and scripting languages, it's called the back end because what's being done is all being done behind the scenes. You can't view the website's HTML source and see what's happening in the back end. While the HTML is the result of the processing from the back end, everything you see in the browser is called the front end. So it's just making that distinction between the front end and the back end. For instance, the back end, you can have you can just have your HTML just generated for you by your back end, and not even have HTML, like a static HTML file on your page. It could just be generated by a response, but it'd be that response that client gets would be the front end of that server, and that generator would be the back end of that server. So scripting and backend languages, there's not much of a limit to what a backend language can achieve. And these are what makes a website interactive to the user. Some examples of these languages, is not particular in order, is PHP, Python, Ruby, Node.js, Perl, and more. These languages can interact with databases, call external services, processes the data they use data, and much more. A very basic PHP example of this would be If you requested the web page from http / example.com / index.php name.atom. If the index.php was built like this, excuse me, it's just showing you some PHP, some simple PHP code right here, where it's PHP. It can be written inside of HTML code right here, and it's getting the name attribute, name variable that you have already documented somewhere in PHP. So you would have some kind of PHP variable declaring this already, and it would call that when it was processed on the front end. Okay, so this would be the example of the back end code, and then the front end code that you would see after it was generated would be just hello Atom. All right, you notice that the client doesn't see any of the PHP code because it's on the back end. Yeah, this inactivity opens up a whole lot of security issues for web applications that haven't been created securely, as you'll learn in future modules. All right, what does web server software use to host virtual? What is the name for the type of content that can change a page? What is the name for the type of content that? Oh, dynamic. Does the client see the backend code? Nay. Alright, view the website. Use everything you've learned so far from the other modules to drag and drop the tiles into the correct order of how the requests from the websites are being revealed. Flag when placing tiles in the correct position, it'll be highlighted green. Wrong, obviously red. Oh, okay. Web application. Oh, we did it, boys. Ooh, baby. All right, so we've gone all the way to Linux fundamentals. That should be fun. Athletics. How many parts are there? Pretty good. We got windows. All right. I can actually select it now. All right, guys. That is going to conclude the stream tonight. We did pretty good. What, we got 2.5 hours? That's enough. Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining me. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to all my social media links out there. Oh, I need more copy. I need so much copy. Make sure you guys stay. Well, the only way you guys are going to be able to stay tuned to see if I'm making more content is you guys got to subscribe. So make sure you guys do that so you guys can see the content that I'm making. So until next time, guys, you guys have a great night, and I love you all. Y'all take it easy out there. Bye, everybody.